Are Gen Z driving you nuts? As a Gen Xer, most likely yes. I moved, so forgive all that stuff in the background. I had a young coworker tell me that she put her mom under punishment in like a timeout because the mother didn't say something that she liked and didn't respect her boundaries. Now, granted, she's 24 years old. And yes, as a young adult and as parents, we must respect their boundaries. However, how is it so easy that Gen Z finds it basically so easy to punish us Gen Xers as we parent them or how we parent them? Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of Gen Xers who weren't good parents, as they claim, narcissistic, abusive, jealous, angry. I get that. But if there was a Gen X parent, and if you were a Gen X parent who did your best and your children just seem to cut you off, ignore you, and pretty much don't give you the respect that you think that you've earned by being a parent to them, I think that's a real issue. I think Gen Z forgets that we are fallible as human beings. They did not give us a manual on how to raise kids, especially Gen Z. They are a whole different other kind of animal. And I think because the social media has really changed how we parent, how kids can get information. They no longer rely on their parents for information. They no longer rely on their teachers for information. They rely on the internet. And because they rely on the internet, a lot of them think that they know everything. So instead of going to the parents and saying, hey, I'm feeling this way or I feel that way, they just cut you off because of something that they perceive to be disrespectful or harmful or boundary crossing. Like I said, don't get me wrong. There are some parents that do cross the boundaries, that do go over and be angry and all kinds of stuff you see on the internet. I get that part. But if you're not one of them, what can you do? So what I did was I spoke to my young Z colleague and told her, okay, what exactly did you do? How did you put your mom in a timeout? And she said, oh, well, I stopped doing her hair. She likes me to braid her hair. And I stopped talking to her for a while. Okay, but did that solve the problem? Did you even find out what the problem is? Well, no, I didn't really, but I had to do something. I had to teach her a lesson. Okay, but that's not how you teach somebody a lesson. How you teach someone a lesson is that you speak to them and you let them know, say, hey, mom, you hurt my feelings. You disrespected me. You crossed my boundaries. I feel this way because of what you did. I reacted this way. She claims she used her I statements, but she still put her mom under punishment. And so her and her mom, they don't have a great relationship because of the breakdown in communication. So let's try to reframe that. I told my Gen Z colleague, why don't you think about your mom, who's a Gen Xer? Maybe she had her own challenges and her own issues, and she didn't really know that you had these boundaries. And because she already had her issues or challenges or her preconceived notions, she didn't even know she was stepping over them. She didn't even know she was stepping over her boundaries. Because we were raised differently. Gen X, we were raised to, you definitely don't put your parents in a timeout. That's absolutely no. When she said that, I just couldn't believe. I was like, I beg your pardon? Excuse me? You're doing what? As Gen X, we probably wouldn't even talk about what was really bothering us. We would talk to our friends. We would talk to the neighbors, the dog. We would go outside. We'd work it out. But now these Gen Xers and even some of the younger millennials, they're all about hashing out their feelings. They're all about being in their feelings. And as a Gen Xer, we have to actually sit down and, instead of being so offended, say, okay, what's going on with you? You haven't spoken to me in a while. You don't want to be around me. What's going on with you? And if they're willing to heal and mend the relationship, and they really want to have a relationship with you, they will be willing to talk to you. We have to stop being so defensive and believing that the old school ways always work, because they don't. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about old school and I love it. And it took me a lot to become a little bit more flexible in how I see things with my son, how I talk to him, how I say things. Yeah, so that's the lesson that I learned. We have to be more flexible. We have to communicate better. We have to be more forthcoming about how we feel about things, what we've been through, what we think about things, and have an open relationship. It could still be mom-child, because a lot of these Gen Z want to be friends with their parents. That's a no-no too. It could still be an open, honest relationship, but it's still a parent to a young adult relationship. So that young adult must also respect what you're saying and your boundaries as well. So tell me down below, what do you think? Have you had problems with Gen Z? How did you go about resolving the problems, or did you? Did you stay in timeout and just was like, okay, I'm just going to deal with it because this is how I deal with it, and oh well, I speak to you when I speak to you, because that's just like a Gen X attitude? Or did you say, okay, what's going on, and you learn to be a little bit more accommodating of your Gen Xers' feelings? So tell me down below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and until next time.